don't compromise your dream, but be responsible. It's easy to compromise your dream and do whatever it takes, including selling your soul to the devil. But there's got to be that balance. You got to be, healthy, and your vision always has to be on point. Once you lose that vision and you're in a stirrup, you're going to make decisions you don't want to make. And your place is going to be a place that you didn't want it to be. So to me, it's always been like, just simplify and stay on path. I keep going back to this reference where I'm the luckiest guy. I know a lot of people have partners, investors. Me and my wife went all in on this.
Yeah.
And it's just her and I. For her, she's mostly like, it's all you, because she doesn't have a restaurant background. She doesn't want to, and she's like, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. And with that being said, like, we can do it our way. I'm probably not the best businessman, but when it comes to like satisfying what I want to produce, I'm fairly happy.
The following podcast is a Pie to Pie production.
Every slice tells a story.
You know what's important to every restaurant is guest feedback. We can't kiss every baby and shake every hand, but Ovation allows for incredible guest feedback. You'll save the day with customers. You will create a line of defense and a line of friendship, really, that will create better communication between you and the people coming through your door every day. Ovation, how great restaurants get better. Click the link in the show notes. Schedule a demo today. Flat iron pepper. When you pop these peppers, you are gonna know. You can smell it, you can feel it, you can taste it. They are liberating pizzerias from low quality pepper flakes. Stop finishing your pizza with crap. Head to flatironpepper.com and join the pepper flake revolution. This episode is brought to you by Maestro Sausage, the only sausage we use at Hot Tongue. They produce sausages specifically with pizzerias in mind, and you can tell. So if your sausage isn't hitting all the right notes, let Maestro lead the way. What's been the biggest change since you opened in 2012?
You should always have a plan A and plan B. I think we flipped the book a couple of times and we're like in triple letters, smaller case. And it's just always been, changing with the times, changing with the crowd, with product availability, and still having the ability to keep the product at a high standard, keep myself satisfied with the product, and also keep my staff happy.
When you opened up in 2012, obviously the pizza scene in Los Angeles has come a long way. I'd say mostly in the last 5 years, but when you opened up, I even just read like the New York Times article that you were mentioned in. Like you talked about like people didn't even know what the hell to do with a paper plate and like a paper bag that you were putting the slices in. Like, was there a lot more explaining back then of like, this is what we're trying to do, or like, and where did that come from? I know that you worked at like a place in East Los Angeles, like when you were a teenager, was that a slice shop? Like where did the inspiration really for Apollonia's in 2012 to open up, like where did that come from?
I think that, I like that reference, but that reference I think got a little twisted in the article.
Okay,
and
as it sometimes does.
Yes, and it was more of a reference like in LA, if I put a slice on a plate in a bag, fold it over, and give it to a customer, they're gonna freak out. It's like, what is this? Where's my box? They feel entitled to that box. And in New York, it's not about a box. It's about it's about my slice in a bag, and that's practical. I can go down the street and work with it. Right now, at one time we had plates and we had silverware, but once we started to really focus on more slices, or even our squares, there's no way that a plastic fork or a plastic knife is going to cut into that slice.
Yeah.
If I give someone, I can already hear the snap of that fork or that knife, trying to cut a square, or not even that, shredding the paper plate. So it took a while for customers to adjust and to learn, like, this isn't the plate. This isn't a fork and knife kind of place. You want fork and knife, you need to go somewhere else.
And then can you just explain to me, like, what was the pizza landscape in 2012 in Los Angeles?
In 2012, I think we were the poster child for being abused for LA pizza sucks.
Yeah.
Because we heard that for the longest time.
Yeah.
And To me, it makes me very satisfied to know that LA is where it is today with a large LA pizza family, from Neapolitan squares to catering trucks. But at that time, it was very scarce. There was I think maybe us, Vito's, Joe's, Mozza, and it wasn't long after before Prime and Pizzana came along.
Yeah.
And I think Prime kind of like got the ball rolling a little bit with the momentum because they were just beyond that one pizza shop. So at that time, there was a lot of work, a lot of inspiration from other pizzerias, what someone else is doing. And it was never about competition. It was always about if if the bar was rising, someone was inspired to maybe push it a little bit more. But it was never one against the other. It was just always about let's come up together. And here we are so many years later, and I think that's shown like it's not about competition. It's about helping each other be better.
And still to this day, it's like that. Because like obviously there's a shit ton more of pizzerias now in Los Angeles. It seems like there's a new pizzeria opening up every fucking day.
Yeah.
You still have that mentality that it's just like, do you just do you, or do you ever think, oh, like what this person over here is doing that's pretty cool, or like do you ever adjust to trends? I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like you're pretty much in your own lane, but is that something you consider?
I want to get out more. We all have the same schedule, more or less. We work the weekends, close maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. So for me, it's a little bit harder to get out and try places that I want to try and are definitely like on my top of my bucket list for here in LA. But I think overall, like we're helping each other. And if you can't see that, then I don't think you're going to grow very much.
Yeah. When you started in 2012 and now, how are you in the shop the same amount, or is there more delegation? And like I'm asking like a lot of questions at once. Let's just start there. What's the difference between 2012 and 2025 with the amount of time you're here?
I think 2012, I was working 80 plus hours and not getting a paycheck, not spending time with my family, not enjoying my daughter growing up. Here I am now. Those things mean a lot to me. So I work a lot harder, but now that I'm older and wiser, more efficient. So my time means a lot more to me now, today, than it does, in 2012. Working a lot of long hours, my hands have taken a beating over the years. Standing on our feet long, eating late night meals, all that really isn't good for you. You wake up and you're proud of what you have, but is it really all worth it in the end? Some will say yes in that moment, in your highest peaks, you're like, the hard work paid off, but there's got to be a balance at some point where, it's not everything.
Yeah. How many people did you have working here in 2012 that you do now?
I think now we're a little under 10. And actually, at 2012, I probably had like 13. Okay. I was more than ready. I remember my first. You want to talk about opening up a pizzeria and not knowing what you're doing? I was that guy. The New York Times quoted saying we opened this up on a shoestring budget. Yeah. Which that was misquoted. It was, I thought I could do it for that much, but I was very, very, very wrong. Yeah. So, I did have plenty of employees. I think my first delivery, I had enough cheese probably for like almost 2 months because I thought I was going to have a line around the block from day one. Yeah. But, you learn as you go along, and hopefully as time goes by, you make better and efficient decisions. Yeah.
What's it like knowing that like you have inspired people in Los Angeles and outside of Los Angeles, like with your creations? Like obviously your square is to me one of the end all be alls of all squares that I've ever eaten or ever seen. Your rounds are the best in the city. Is that something you even think about, or is it just like, this is what I do, this is who I am?
I think you're very kind in saying that. For me, I would say in the past couple of years, I've just really tried to simplify everything my schedule, my hours, my pizzas. And I think in doing so, I've been able to really focus on what's important. And I'm grateful that we're acknowledged, but to me, it's not my best days are behind me. I know my best days are ahead of me.
Yeah.
So it's that balance of, resting when I can and working hard when I really want to push something forward.
Did you ever, was it a goal of yours to be one of the best slices in the city, or did you want to be on these lists? Did you want to put your foot, your stamp on what Los Angeles pizza was? Were those important things when you started off, or is it just kind of what happens when you work hard?
I think because of my photographic background, my goal was always for my pizza to defend itself. Like a photo or a painting, if you put it up on the wall, and if someone has to explain to you what it is and why it's great, maybe it's not doing its job.
Yeah.
And even in my photography, I always wanted to put my work up, walk away from it, and it had to defend itself. A lot of people fool themselves and be like, oh man, isn't my photograph great, or isn't this amazing? If someone's got to convince you of that, maybe it isn't doing its job. And with pizza, I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to create a pizza, both square and round, that could hold on their own without me having to tell you, look at this characteristic, or you taste that, or you taste this. It's like, if the customer isn't getting it, maybe something's wrong in the communication.
Yeah.
So to me, that was always my focus and philosophy, from photography into pizza.
Do you still professionally take photos?
Professionally, I do not. The biggest joke was the pizzeria was supposed to finance my fine art projects in the future.
Yeah.
Which obviously didn't happen. I still have this crazy conception, I'm going to buy equipment and keep shooting, but in reality, it's, I have small little cameras and little toys, but it always just comes down to my phone.
Yeah, that's where you're taking all your photos.
Yeah.
Well, most people are.
Yeah.
What do they say? The best camera is the one you have
Yeah,
readily available?
It's not even the camera. It's the best one is the quickest reaction.
Yeah.
To me, photos are just all reactions. And the longer it takes you to react is the farther that photo's getting away.
Are you constantly picking up your phone and taking photos of certain things that you find interesting?
I wish I could put more interesting things on my Instagram, but because it's the business page, I don't. And focusing more on recipes and process, I'm not as active as I once was on Instagram.
Did you have a square right when you opened, or was it just rounds?
When we opened, it was just strictly rounds.
Okay, when did you start developing the square? If your sausage needs aren't hitting all the right notes, then let Maestro lead the way. Maestro has been working closely with pizzerias for decades. They produce sausages designed specifically with pizzerias in mind. And you can tell, their Italian sausage crumbles look like they were handmade in your shop, and they will taste that way as well. With over 80 years in business, family owned and operated, the family is incredible, and so is their product. It's quality sausage with quality ingredients. Click the link in the show notes. A classical masterpiece awaits you. What if you could have a direct line to your customers? Since using Ovation, that's exactly what we've had. 10 out of 10. Ovation has been a game changer at Hot Tongue. It has also upped our Google and Yelp reviews by almost 300%. It teams up with our POS, and they send out these surveys after every order from us about their service, the food, everything. If it's anything lower than 5 stars, they can comment on why their experience wasn't the greatest. This has helped us save customers and see how we need to change. It's allowed for us to have data that we did not have before, send guests discount codes right through your POS to make it better, and it creates the possibility to fix something before it goes to a 1 star at Yelp. Frictionless feedback, operational insights, real-time guest recovery, text marketing, and call to text. Click the link in the show notes. Schedule a demo today. Ovation, how great restaurants get better.
The squares probably came, 6 years later.
Okay.
But that par bake I had probably been working on for 3 years.
Okay.
I was working on the par bake And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Like, did I want to develop into a sandwich, which was cool, but it didn't get my blood going.
Yeah.
And then the squares kind of started to take off on the East Coast, and I was like, oh shit, I want to try that. So I did my first pie, and I was just like, I think I'm the luckiest guy. Everything was almost right on. And once I did that, I offered the squares just on Fridays for lunch, and people responded, and they quickly started to evolve into like this very graphic image of like the frico rising, and a lot of texture, a lot of color. And that really got me motivated. And my days quickly started at like 4 or 5 a.m. where I was working nonstop to like always do better, do better, do better. And that pizza just kind of developed in time. I guess when it was ready is when it kind of gave birth.
Yeah.
But that par bake was in the making for a couple of years.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember like seeing it for the first time on Instagram, and I think that this is pre-reels, like video.
Yeah.
It was just like if you took a beautiful picture, it was much easier to get noticed, and everything you were pushing on that thing, like all your pictures were pieces of art.
Yeah.
Outside of the square and the frico and the hot honey and everything, it was just a well-composed photo, and it was just in like social media aspect. It was your game was already stronger than most accounts because no one was really looking at food photography like that before. But I remember seeing that frico and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I call it a square because I've listened to enough of your podcasts where it's like, it's not a Detroit to you, right? It's like it's your version of a square pizza. But when you push that square and that was like the cheese blend and everything, you nailed it the first time because that frico is insane. I for 2 years I was trying to figure out how the fuck is Justin doing this, and I think a lot of people were.
No, I mean, I feel really bad because my DMs were lit up with like, what kind of pans, what kind of trays? I'm like, I'm not a salesman for trays. The tray company doesn't want to support me. I'm not going to support them.
Yeah.
And even with cheese, it's like I'm not in the business of selling cheese. I'm not a cheese salesman. And maybe some people see that as a little twisted, but like going back to a photography background, I mean, our images create income. They create revenue. So there's always a usage for an image. And I think that's what really hurts the pizza industry. It's like a lot of the corporations depend on us to sell their product, but what's coming back to the little guy that's really pushing more than they're receiving. And to me, that breaks my heart because we're all striving to survive or to make it till next month or next year. And it would be a little bit more helpful if like we got the same as much as they want to take.
Well, are you in a position now that like you're getting any kickbacks from any companies?
I wouldn't say I get any kickback. I have support.
Yeah.
And to me, like whoever supports me, I'll support you. And sometimes support isn't always in a dollar form.
Yeah.
I mean, I can pinpoint to Rob DiNapoli. He came in when I was a knucklehead trying to sell me his sauce. And he's like, oh, they use it at Mozza. And I didn't know Rob DiNapoli.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want your sauce. I'm a knucklehead. I don't know anything about good shit. I'm just a guy trying to fucking open a pizzeria with not much information. But we always had a friendship. And as time developed, I would use the product. Sometimes it wasn't available. They had a shortage. But Rob was always like the coolest guy with me. And to this day, it's like he's one of the coolest guys I know.
Yeah.
And even Chris. I mean, those guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily come in a dollar form, but it comes in like, passion and support.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. Companies do, I think, maybe they give you a little and expect a lot, kind of, especially in the age of social media. I think everyone wants to feel a part of something. That's why, even if you're not getting money from Grande, they've made it so they've made their product like if you're not using Grande, then everything else you're using is trash. And so like other people see. They didn't say that. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Other people see that, and then other people are like, they're just they're promoting products because it's like a flex, but they're not really getting anything from it.
Yeah.
And those companies really are benefiting because as a new pizza maker, I would do the same thing because you just kind of wanted to feel, I wanted to feel accepted or like I was doing the right thing or, the company cared about me or maybe they shared my image, but you never really think about, what they're getting probably more out of it than you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for young pizza makers, I know it's the same thing. Whether you're using like a Gosney or an Uni, like you're constantly promoting these companies in hopes for a reshare.
Yeah.
Because there is value in that.
Oh, I mean, of course.
But
I think the funniest thing, I look back at it, and it was an inspiration at one time. I heard at a pizza expo at a seminar trying to find the answer to the world, was they said this was, I don't know, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, that your Instagram post is worth at least $25. And I thought that was interesting because it's like, okay, if I post a slice, someone will buy a pie. And then, you mean at least you're in the positive. Now you look back, you're like, well, $25, you may be at a loss for labor, wasting your time and posting this and that. But in reality, it's like, it's worth something. And even if it's only worth $25, it may be worth $50 tomorrow and $75 the next day and then $100 the next day. It's like, it's not just about that one $25. There's a lot more potential because of it, because one image lives forever.
yeah.
And depending on how you play the game or tell your story, it could be priceless.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like, I always go back to that one picture being worth $25, and I think about what we're at now. So that $25 has come a long way.
It's 100%. I mean, I'm thinking of this image. I think you took the square, like it's like a corner shot of the Frico, and you can see it. And it's like, if I could go back to that photo, and you're like, yeah, I used Polio and Belgioso shredded Parmesan, and like there's the formula.
Yeah.
People would be going back to that photo all the fucking time.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how much money those companies would have gotten if like, yeah, here's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you've heard like crazy shit. I mean, like I was like, somebody was like, you know what you got to do to get that Frico? Is you got to freeze your cheese. Okay. Freeze it, then take it out of the freezer, put it on a sheet pan, let it dry out. Then blah, blah, blah. I was doing all these crazy magical things back in 2018, 2019, because you don't know. I mean, and when you're doing something that no one else is, I mean, I would say now, like, I forget what the dude's name is. I think he's mostly an Instagram dude. I don't think he has a shop, but he does a really high Frico. But you just didn't see it a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing you don't see a lot in Los Angeles is a 20-inch pie.
Yeah.
Like you've always done a 20-inch pie.
I want to do 22. I mean, if I did 18, I get more space out of my oven. 20, I max out at 3. Well, I can do 3 22-inch pies. But, I mean, I often think about my OG. I mean, we offer a 14-inch and a 20-inch. And I'm really starting to minimize the availability of my 14 because we sell so many 20s. And I almost want to eliminate it, but I think about like my OG customers from day one that have been here regardless, if they got a bad pie or we made them wait really long on a Friday because, we couldn't get our shit together and we're a new spot or someone called in sick and we're just trying to like get to closing. But that 20-inch pie, I think back to when we opened, 18 was a standard for us. It was like, we just went all in on a 20. But part of me wants to hit a 22.
I mean, that's crazy considering like people don't realize if you've never stretched a 20-inch pie, 18 is tough. To me, shelling a pizza is the most important part of your pizza shop, your dough recipe, and then your shell, because the shell has to be consistent. Yeah. There can be no thin spots. Yeah. If there is, you need to know what to do, and then you need to know how to get it off the paddle. 18 is tough. Stretching to 20 is a whole nother beast. Yeah. I mean, so to go to 22, even just having a fucking 22-inch paddle is crazy, and then your box prices would probably shoot up even more, right?
Well, I mean, not only that, people think, oh, it's only 2 inches more. It's like, well, it's 10% more of a 20-inch pie.
Yeah.
So when you raise your price 10+%, people are going to start freaking out like, how did your pie get so expensive?
Yeah.
And I still think if you do the math, I'm not going to mention any names, but one of the pizzerias one time did the math on slices per square inch and who was the cheapest.
Was that Prime?
I don't know who it was.
It was John and Vinny's.
But we weren't listed on that formula because when you put a 20-inch pie at competitive prices to an 18, it significantly becomes a lot cheaper.
Well, that's really interesting because pricing a lot of the times comes down to perspective because there's a pizzeria. Well, there's other pizzerias that maybe only do 14 inches and they can, or 12 inches, and people only see price.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I can get a full pizza, even Domino's. You think it's cheap, but you're not seeing or thinking about how much actual food that you're getting.
Yeah.
And I imagine you must struggle because in the way of maybe educating your customer because your prices are higher, but the norm is not a 20-inch pizza.
Exactly.
Your squares are also not the norm. I don't know what the process is here. I imagine there's a lot of magic. I know how tough dough is, and to make it like really special. I mean, I can see all the dough resting here right now, but people don't all see that effort. You know, like when you guys like dress your slices to go, right? Like when you order slices here, there's still finishing touches that need to go.
Yeah, we don't sauce them until they're ready to be cooked.
But all that extra effort, if you don't understand that as a consumer, it can is that annoying for you or is that a struggle? Do you find it as crazy as I do that we put the best ingredients in our pizza, our dough, our cheese, toppings, fresh produce, and then we put pencil shavings on our tables called red chili flakes? What is a red chili flake? We found out about Flatiron premium pepper flakes from a customer who actually brought us some. We were putting it on every slice we ate. It was gold. We were like searching for it like addicts in the back, just like, ooh, where's the Flatiron? Where's the Flatiron? There is no going back. When you pop these peppers, you are gonna know. You can smell it, you can feel it, you can taste it. The 4-pepper blend, which is actually the blend we have on every table at Hot Tongue, definitely has a higher heat level, and I'm a heat guy, if you know what I'm saying. It has the arbol, the jalapeno, the ghost, and the habanero. Spicy. They are liberating pizzerias from low quality pepper flakes. Flatiron pepper, you are going to know the difference. In here, real peppers from Italy. Let's go. Head to flatironpepper.com right now. Use the code PIE2PIE at checkout. That's PIE, number 2, PIE at checkout. And any order over $25 is going to get you a bottle free of the sweet heat. Put that sweet heat in your cart, and any order over $25, that baby's gonna be free. Do not miss this chance to upgrade your pepper game. Head to flatironpepper.com right now and join the Pepper Flake revolution.
Maybe at one time it was.
Yeah.
But as you begin to become confident, I don't want to say in what I'm doing, but in knowing the way this place works, I mean, I'm surprised with all the advice I get from people that know the answers. There's not more pizzerias in LA because, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. With all that advice, where's all these pizzerias with that advice? And for us, I know what the talk is outside the shop. And of course you gotta either make sense of it or, move on. And keep doing what you're doing. And for us, it's, we're in a small little spot. I haven't even showed you like what's behind the cook's back when he's cooking. There's no room in our kitchen for a lot of spaces. So when people want like, oh, let me call on my slices or why are my slices taking so long? It's like, I don't have anywhere to hold 50 slices. I can't cook 50 slices at once and cook pies and cook squares. So there's a system where like things come in and out. And it was never meant to be like this, but at the moment, it's like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we're making the best of it. And my intentions is to have a 0 line. I mean, people think lines are cool. To me, lines suck. If I gotta wait, like, why do I gotta stand here? Why can't you be faster?
Yeah.
We're trying to be faster so you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than waiting to get a pie and seeing like people just constantly walk out. So to me, I'm trying to make our place better and more efficient, even though people don't see it. People want us to expand, go next door. But to me, it's like, this is just a small little place doing what we can. And if it works, with your schedule or how we do things, man, my door's open to you. Welcome. If it doesn't, I'll give you a referral to something compatible. Maybe you like that place better and you'll make a new friend.
Yeah.
But to me, it's not about, trying to win everyone over, because, we can't do that.
Well, talking about intentional and space, does it come down to only wanting to put out, like, because there's always a max that you could hit with any amount of space.
Yeah.
And at some point, to do large numbers, there has to be a percentage that you're like that you start pushing out that isn't 100%. Do you find that like you will not go down in quality to make those numbers happen? That it's more important to make sure that everything is coming out the way it should be all the time?
To me, I keep going back to this reference where I'm the luckiest guy. I know a lot of people have partners, investors. Me and my wife went all in on this. Yeah. And it's just her and I. And for her, she's mostly like, it's all you, because she doesn't have a restaurant background. She doesn't want to, her thing is like, I'll meet you outside in the back, because if I come in, I know I'm going to answer phones or get involved. And she's like, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. And with that being said, like, we can do it our way. And my way isn't, I'm probably not the best businessman, but when it comes to like satisfying what I want to produce, I'm fairly happy. And making more pizzas that I got to compromise isn't going to make me happier.
100%.
So I think trying to keep control. And, John Arena once said someone criticized his pizza. And he had asked, was I at the shop making your pizza? And the guy said, no. It's like, well, then you didn't have my pizza. Because someone else making my dough, my sauce, isn't necessarily my pizza. Yeah. So, there is a difference. And there's days where my guys were like, you told us to do it this way. Why are you doing it that way? It's like, you got to know the rules before you can break them. Yeah. And not only that, it's like, I want you to make a predictable pie that the customer knows that they're going to get. I want to make something a little bit more aggressive that's going to make me happy. So there's always that little window for space, but it's never, hopefully, below standard.
Yeah. Well, you seem to do it your way. It's cash only here. Your hours, you're closed Mondays and Tuesdays. And then I don't know the specific hours, but I know that like you do, is it 11 to 2:30 and then you close and then reopen?
You go 12 to 2:30, 5 to 8. For us, it makes perfect sense. To most people, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. 2:30, everyone hits lunch. Everyone comes back an hour later. We start prepping for dinner. At 5 o'clock, we're ready to go 100%. If we didn't have that break, there's no way we can stack 60 square pies ready to go at 5 o'clock on a Friday. Yeah. So it makes sense for us to do it the way it is. The prep gets done, and it's perfect. And everyone's happy.
Well, I guess there's like something really powerful in what you're saying, because I feel like you've dialed in exactly what works for you and your team. And it's so that the customer can get the best pizza given to them every time. Whereas I think it's really easy as a pizza shop owner, whether you're new or old, to either get stuck in 7 days a week, 11 to 11. This is what we got to do. We got to have this much dough, and these are the numbers we have to hit. And we have to have all these third parties and do things this way, because it's like you get scared. It's easy to get scared if like the numbers aren't coming in or whatever. And maybe you even lose yourself. You start putting shit on the menu that you don't even eat. Yeah. But but having the wherewithal to be like, this is what works. This is what I want to do. And this is how we push the best pizza. I just imagine that over a 13-year, I think it's 13 years, right? 13, 14 years. Yeah. Doing it to still be doing it your way. I mean, I don't know if there's any advice you could give to somebody that might be in that predicament, or, feeling, sometimes you can kind of feel like not like a slave to the customer.
Yeah. I think one thing that I think one of the ballsiest things I've done was, we don't do third parties. At one time we delivered, but things just started getting too sketchy on the street. So once our last driver gave us his notice, we're like, that's it, no more delivery. Because every time I got a call, I'm like, oh my God, you get jumped, something happened. And finally it was like that stress was gone and we didn't need the delivery. But what we did, because we're cash only, when we offered our online, I charged 16% service fee. And some people are shocked, which you really shouldn't, because you're paying Uber and DoorDash for the same thing. But when you order online for us, if there's a line that could be 30, 40 minutes, you walk in, you walk out. And that covers our credit card fee. But most importantly, the remaining goes to my staff, so that they're taken care of as well.
Well, again, like, where did you come up with the 16%? And you're like, is it that the only time you use your credit card, your POS? Like,
no, we don't use POS. It's Square online.
Online only. Yeah. I mean, is that why you were like, you know what, 16% is usually what they're upcharging on third parties? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you do some crazy shit. Like honestly, like if you're in line for 40 minutes and you're like, fuck, I could have paid $3 or $4 and been in and out. Yeah.
I mean, people that have done it get it. People that are like, I'm not paying that. It's like, okay, we'll wait in line. Unfortunately, like I can only serve so many people at one time.
To the line, do you think? I know you don't like lines, but do you think there's like a certain lure about having a line outside? It does make. I mean, it makes it even more like, oh shit, like there's a line out here. Like this is, like it creates hype.
It does, but if it doesn't live up to it, it's just a lot more negativity that comes to your name.
And is that a problem? Because being on the list, you're usually always talked about. Most influencers that in Los Angeles, Rick Locks named you number one. There's other people that I could name off like top list. Like having those expectations, like getting to where you're at. Not that like lists are going to save you. You can be on lists and your pizza can be whatever. Yeah. But when there is that expectation, is that something that you have to deal with some other different things than a regular pizzeria is, because those expectations are so high?
Lists can be dangerous if you believe everything you want to hear.
Yeah.
If you're going to believe the ones and twos, you got to believe the 99s. And I mean, out of 100, you got to believe if you're 99 and 100, you're the worst. So you can't listen to one and listen to the other. If someone's going to say you're the worst pizzeria, then you're the worst pizzeria because you're believing that you're the best at the same time. So, you take it with a grain of salt. It's nice to be acknowledged. It's nice that your staff can reproduce pizzas if you're not around.
Yeah.
But in an end, it's like no one's writing me a check because I was on a list.
Yeah.
So, you take it with a grain of salt and then just keep moving forward.
Well, do those lists promote the pizzeria though? Do you see an uptick when they come out, or like when an influencer pulls up? Is there like 1 or 2 days? Is it weeks?
It depends. I mean, there's LA has their influencers. If someone comes in, you're going to see a little bit of movement. But the thing with another review is like now you get another new batch. Your current customers have already learned your patterns and your trends and the way things work. And then when you get someone that doesn't know, now it's like, now we got to work from square one. Someone doesn't understand the way things work.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have the pizza, but it was a terrible experience.
Yeah, the line was too long. I
Yeah.
couldn't even get in.
Yeah.
1 star.
So how is that my fault?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Well, I have this conversation all the time because I think there's this idea that you have to be on these lists or that you have to get people in. And I really feel like the foundation of a great pizzeria is probably organic growth and like understanding your neighborhood first before even wanting any of that.
1,000%.
And once you have that locked in, everything else will just be an uptick in business. But the people that know how it works, how you work, what you do is going to be the most important foundation that you can put down.
I mean, honestly, that's fucking the best fucking advice you can ever tell someone opening up a pizzeria. And that kind of goes back to like the background of at another job that I had at a pizzeria. A friend of mine had a spot. It wasn't doing very well. All he had was like one menu that would float through the place for like a week. It's like, dude, it's one paper menu, floating around. Let me help you out. And we had huge success, not with coupons, because I never believed this is a discounted product. It was just a menu on someone's door. And they would be like half tabloid size, very large, very big, glossy. It's junk mail. But they were so big, you had to read it because by the time you got to your door, you're like, oh shit, this is nice. And, you would spend X amount on the printing per day. You would spend probably like $75 on someone to walk. You're almost guaranteed to get your money back that day. And then, they did another couple blocks somewhere else another day. You'd see yesterday's and then you're seeing part of today's. And we would have goals like, okay, in a month, let's increase sales by 30%. They would go 40%. And then, okay, let's do another 30% next month, and it would go 40%. Before we knew it, this pizzeria was making a shitload of money of just simple door-to-door, obnoxious menus, door hangers that people were forced to read because they were so huge that, they did the work for him.
Yeah.
And without compromising the product.
Yeah.
And then, you're reaching out to your neighborhood at the same time. And here, we've been here 12 years and I still here to this day. Oh, I didn't know you guys were here. So, at one time, our large base was the neighborhood. Unfortunately, a lot of things happen. And your customers change. And we don't have that strong neighborhood customer base as we do. I think it's a little bit more spread out. But at the same time, like in this neighborhood, people move in and out all the time.
Yeah.
So, you got to be able to compromise with the trends of what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, you'd say that like people are coming from farther distances
Now they
to get to buy? Yeah. Why in 12 years is there an expansion? Have you wanted to put an Apollonia somewhere else? Has there been opportunity to do that? Is there a reason why you haven't? It seems just from an outside perspective, somebody who's been in Los Angeles as long as this place has been open, it seems like it's a no-brainer that there should be multiple of these.
Yeah.
But also as a business owner, I understand not to open up more of these because it's another headache.
Yeah, like I said, my hands have taken a beating. My feet have taken a beating. To me, I'm very, very critical of my time. And I'm not looking to work another 80 hours. Maybe 10 years ago, I would have.
Yeah.
I'm very happy here. This is my home. I'm happy here with my crew, with our music when we're working. Of course, it'd be nice to have more units, but I think at this time in this place, I'm very happy and content. But it doesn't mean that there's a place down the street that I wanted to look at and someone talked me out of it because they felt like that wasn't the right spot. So, and going back to the right spot, it's like I learned with this space, the right spot doesn't exist. When I first wanted to open up a pizzeria, this place was available since day one. I looked for 1 year from here to Long Beach, all over the place. I could tell you every spot that was available, what's wrong or what it needed. And after a year of looking, I realized the spot that I was looking for didn't exist. And I came back to what was literally 5 blocks from my house to this place a year later. I didn't want to be in a mini mall because I didn't think it was cool. But I mean, now, you know, mini malls are the cool spots, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you never know. It's not, I'm not saying no, but who knows?
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I feel like there's something very like California about a mini mall.
Yeah.
It's like, it's cool. I mean, this area though, you wouldn't think that you would find this pizzeria. What is this, mid-city? What is
somewhat
it?
mid-city, Miracle Mile.
Miracle Mile, that's what it
It's
is.
not really Hancock Park. It's not even, I mean, Hollywood, but it's kind of like the borderline of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty well located. You going this way, that way, or the other way. So, so it worked out.
It did. Actually, and what's funny is like, we almost got a spot in Long Beach, was beautiful by the beach. And had we taken that spot, we probably would have drowned in less than 2 years. So like going back to like perfect time, perfect place, like us being here wouldn't have worked out anywhere else.
Yeah. What kind of oven do you have? Do you have a Baker's Pride?
Montague's.
A Montague's.
Yeah.
Do you love those ovens?
I love them. I wish I had more people to work them.
Yeah. How many ovens do you have?
4 decks.
You have 4 decks.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is that? Is that 2 Montagues or is it
2 stacks?
2 stacks.
Yeah.
If you opened up a pizzeria today, would you get those same ovens?
I'd probably get something electric.
Yeah. You've made a lot of, I think it seems like it. I've seen you at Expo doing demos and stuff. It seems like you're rubbing elbows with the cool people. You and Matt Lyons have a good relationship. How important do you think it is having friends in the industry and being able to like lean on those people if you do?
I think it's important. I think Pizza Expo is kind of like the pizzeria therapy in a way.
Oh yeah.
And that being said, like being able to talk to someone that understands, you know, you can talk to your best friend who doesn't know anything about pizza and won't understand something about like, oh my God, I made this amazing batch of dough yesterday. It was, you know, airy, light, crazy structure. And they're like, oh, cool. Like, you know, they don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But someone else that'll engage, like, oh, what'd you do? What'd you do this? Well, I do this. You know, maybe that'll help what I'm doing. So it's like you give and take from each other.
Yeah.
But without, you know, I owe you or you owe me, it's an endless debt. And at one time, I'd have weekly conversations with Andrew Bellucci.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. I mean, we got him up here on our wall. And we were like little girls when it came to talk about pizza. We talked about pizza all fucking day long, every fucking Monday. And he always wanted to know what I was doing, and I always wanted to know what he was doing. And that was one guy that would give you a recipe, and you're like, oh, cool. But now I think back, it's like, no, he wanted you to write that recipe down, which of course you would never be on a phone writing something down, you know, someone's talking about.
Yeah.
But that's how he was. He was willing to give you so much because he had experienced so much. And, you know, once he passed, like, what happens to all that information? I hear there's a book that has all that information, and I'd like to look at it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's nice to know that information somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's some advice. Next time you're talking to Justin on the phone and he's giving you a recipe, write it down. Yeah. Did you reach out to people like early on in your career? Because what I imagine is a lot of people probably reach out to you and have in the past. Was it important to make those friendships early on, or did they just kind of organically happen?
Early on, I probably took every class and every demo that was available, no matter who it was. Oh, someone's giving a bread class, I'll go take a bread class. Someone's giving a pizza class, I'll take a pizza class. So to me, that's where I got a lot of my information, even from books. And it's not necessarily, oh, I want to be that guy. It's like, well, that's not cool. Find out what you like and make it your own. And I think that's where a lot of our stuff started from, was like, getting information. What am I going to do with it? And then once you have it, now how can you push it and make it your own? Yeah. And I think that's where things really started to change for us, is like when we started to push it and make it our own.
Do you still read books and like tinker, or is like everything pretty much locked in now? Like how much change is going on?
I mean, we do have to tinker. I mean, right now it's really cold here. So it's like, I think there was that 1 week in transition. It was like, shit, we got to go into, plan B with the dough because it's cold now. So we're like dealing with like a winter recipe. But for the most part, I mean, we tinker a little bit. And if I need to make changes, that's usually the oven guy. I'd be like, hey, this is what's happening with the dough. Because he's giving me the result, not necessarily what the person on dough is. To me, it's important to know the A through Z when it comes to dough. Just because you make it doesn't mean you know it.
Yeah. Well, it's the why.
Yeah.
That I always say you need to know why we're doing this.
Yeah.
It's not just like, here's the new thing that you have to do. Leave the dough out for 4 extra hours. This is why you have to do it. Do you add heated water, or is it more of like longer resting time during cold months?
No, we're still using ice a little. I mean, a little long. It's almost the same. I mean, we're kind of in the same temperature. Kind of gets the same. It's more in the morning. Like, the dough bag is 60 degrees and not 70 degrees.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same as just adjusting ice.
Do you temp everything? So are you temping your flour, the water, the yeast, everything?
No. I'm not that guy.
Okay.
Like Angelo Womack would say, like, you got to measure, and I always attack him for this. You got to measure your ice.
Yeah.
He talks about, don't be the guy with the bucket and a line. I'm the guy with the bucket and a line.
No, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You're not scaling anything.
I don't scale though. I don't have a traditional pizza background.
Yeah.
So I don't answer anyone.
Yeah.
So I don't deal with grams. Everything's always the same every day.
Damn. I love it.
Yeah.
So what, are you just like tablespooning yeast?
No, not that. I mean,
You're weighing the yeast?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeast, we're down to the grams. But I mean, we're not,
Well, I think there's something romantic about that.
even with ice, it's like, fill up the 8-quart container with ice.
And then just add that to the mixer or the water.
And then just...
Is it true that you taught Angelo Womack everything?
No.
He's one of my favorite people.
Angelo's awesome.
Yeah.
We need more Angelos.
We do. You recently got back from the East Coast. I saw you were eating a lot of pizza.
Yes.
Do those trips, are those more fun, or is there inspiration going on? I mean, you were on vacation, so obviously you got time to go and check out places that you wanted to. Do you find inspo going to other shops and like tasting pizza?
Definitely. I mean, I think my biggest take back on this trip was like, we need to maximize more oven space. You got to get more pies in, jam them. They should always be full.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's like, you want to know, New York pies are changing fast, and definitely for the better. So it's just always interesting to see, like, what's the new hot slice? Why is it hot? What makes it different from this place? How do you relate, or how can you add that to what you're doing, if even it needs to be added? But I mean, I think it's more about the workflow, because that workflow in New York is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just recently visited, and I had never done like the pizza.
Yeah.
I had gone there for music, and we had pizza, but we specifically went there, had some great interviews, met some great people, ate a lot of good pizza. I was just blown away because like being a pizzeria owner and somebody that's been making it in Los Angeles, I was very prideful about like, oh man, LA pizza's coming up. This fucking the shit, like LA forever. And I was humbled.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's what really happened, because when I went there, it was the amount of great pizza in square block radiuses, where LA has, the pizza's gotten so much better, but you're still not going to you're not going to be able to just go into some random shop, have a vodka slice, and it'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like it was really, I was inspired, and obviously they've been doing it longer, but it was really incredible and humbling at the same time. LA, great pizza. We still need a bunch more.
No, of course. I mean, like you said, you can go from one block to the next, or even like, the new Mama's Tula industry within a corner space.
Yeah.
Here, it's like, okay, where's the next closest? People say, I'm doing a pizza crawl in LA. You're like, well, that's going to take all day.
Yeah. And it does.
Yeah.
I did a pizza crawl. We went to Pizzeria Say.
Yeah.
Or we went to Gorilla Pies, rest in peace. Well, it was a great slice. We went to Pizzeria Say. We came here. This was with the Pizza Pilgrims. Then we went to La Sorted's in Silver Lake. And then we went to Ozzy's, and I think there was somewhere, but it took us 7 hours.
Yeah.
Like you're getting in your car.
Yeah.
You're getting into traffic. There is no like Scott Wiener walking tour here. That is also just the beast of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But anyways, did you have a favorite slice on this trip?
On this trip, I think I wouldn't say favorite, because I mean they're all so fucking awesome. But the most exciting, I would say, was finally getting up to the Bronx for that little dirty sausage slice. That was definitely. I wish I could have stood a lot longer, but rookie move is ordering too many slices too early in the
day.
On your day. And I had done that the day before when I went to Mono's and had 4 slices out my first stop.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
How was that pie? We didn't make it there. He's there every day.
Yeah.
He is there. Did you talk to him?
Oh yeah. I mean, I felt bad. I mean, I even offered help.
We did too. I was like, yo, dude, we couldn't interview him. He was somebody wasn't able to make their shift. I was like, dude, I'll come in. I'll prep with you. But
it's funny. It's funny 'cause I offered help, and my wife's like, "Why are you offering help?" Because when people offer you help, you don't take their help.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But his slices look great. We didn't make it there. Hopefully next time. Being open as long as you have is just in the restaurant industry, especially, I don't know, a lot of people may not know this, but there was fucked up closures in 2023.
Yeah.
Last year alone, there was even more. So whether it's pizza or whatever, 13 years is a long ass time. Have you felt any more pressure? Has anything changed for you? I know pizza sometimes can surpass these things because pizza is different. It almost can survive anything. But has the last 2 years in Los Angeles been any harder than any other years?
I mean, I'm gonna go back to like the same saying, like I'm the luckiest guy. I feel like I'm the luckiest guy ever. Past couple of years we've been really, really busy.
Yeah.
And we're super grateful for that. And I try to keep my customers happy, my staff happy, keep everyone happy, and keep it a positive experience. And I mean, to me, it's heartbreaking seeing a lot of restaurants close. Even some of my favorite restaurants closing this month. It's like, hearing the closure of Gorilla Tacos.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, man. Like when I opened, that was my inspiration. When they were off a truck banging tacos in Culver City, and it had nothing to do with pizza, but it's just what they were doing was so inspiring.
Yeah.
And then when they got the brick and mortar, you're like, oh wow, it finally has a home. But it's like, to me, I got to remind myself every day, man, don't take anything for granted, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have a perfect pizza for yourself?
My perfect pizza is probably my daily slice before we open and fixing it so that the next one's better.
So do you eat pizza every day?
I try not to.
Is that slice a cheese slice?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's almost always, I wouldn't say they're ever perfect, they can always use some a little bit of criticism to make it better.
Yeah. Through the years, has there been issues? I mean, it sounds like it because you were working 80-hour weeks, but like, how did you make a work-life balance work for your family? Was there a big change that happened, or was it like a personal, like, hey, like you talk about how your time is worth more now. Did you have an aha moment where it was basically like, yo, I need to be here 40 hours a week, or I need to be here 50 hours a week instead of 80?
When I first opened the pizzeria, the pizzeria really wasn't even my idea. When I was helping my friend, my father was like, why are you making money for someone else? You should do this for yourself.
Yeah.
Which is always good advice.
Yeah.
Almost always. And, my father helped me build this place. He painted, did a little construction. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. We did almost everything ourselves. We probably should have paid someone, got it done faster. But we didn't know. We just, let's go fucking paint and do this and that. And my father was my biggest supporter. And a few years into the spot, he got ill. And I wish I could have spent more time with him. But those were probably our darkest and deepest days of the pizzeria. And we were in survival mode.
Yeah.
Like, this place should be closed. But like I said, worked 80 hours, no pay to keep it alive. And I know my father would not want it any other way. Like, go do what you got to do to fight for your shop, your family, and your dream. But now it's like, I would never do that. If I look back, I would never do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's heavy compromise in that.
Yeah. Would you say that the first 3 or 4 years of business were the hardest?
The first year, not so much, because there's a lot of buzz. We're fortunate, like, the Eaters come out and the LAS and all these places kind of put the buzz out for you, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
But once all the, the smoke settles and everything, if it's not there, there's a quick ride to the bottom.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those plans set in place and not willing to, like, sell your soul almost to the devil,
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like that wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what year did you feel like maybe you could breathe a little easier?
I think we started breathing a little easier when we started doing the squares.
And was that around 2016, 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you could give any advice to yourself 13 years ago, what would it be?
The advice would be, don't compromise your dream, but be responsible. Because it's easy to compromise your dream and do whatever it takes, including selling your soul to the devil.
Yeah.
But there's got to be that balance. You got to be, healthy, and your vision always has to be on point.
Yeah.
And once you lose that vision and you're in a stirrup, you're going to make decisions you don't want to make. And your place is going to be a place that you didn't want it to be. So to me, it's always been like, just simplify and stay on path.
That's incredible advice.
Yeah.
All right. Before we end this, we want to do this little segment. It's called Over Under, where I say something and you tell me overrated or underrated.
Got it.
And then you can explain why. So the first one, overrated or underrated 20-inch pizzas?
Underrated. I mean, I think you mentioned what it takes to make it. Having to fill our stretching and cooking are the two hardest jobs to replace. I'm pretty grateful to say that I could do both of them if I have to on a Friday. Do I want to? Absolutely not. But those are that's like the hardest thing to fulfill.
Yeah.
Is making that pie.
Yeah. Okay. Overrated or underrated hot honey?
I'm going to say it's underrated. Hot honey has always, I guess, gone hand in hand with Apollonia's Pizzeria. I think even though in the pizza industry it may be a little saturated, I think we're in a surprise for how much more potential it's going to have in the next year or two.
I agree. Overrated or underrated, like top lists?
Overrated. If someone has to tell you what's good, I think you need to find new friends, new places. It's good to know what people like, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is what it is. I have a problem with lists and judging because I want to know if someone's to judge my pizza, what qualifies you to judge my pizza?
Yeah.
Are you above and beyond to degrade it or to promote it? So for me, judging and lists, it makes me question, what gives you that qualification?
Yeah. All right, last one. Overrated or underrated Dave Portnoy reviews?
That is definitely, it can be both. It depends what you make of it, how you handle it, and what you do with it.
Yeah.
Things happen for a reason and a place and time. If you're not ready for it, I've heard pizzerias close. That's a shame. You've heard other pizzerias, like the Faras. It took one review in a travel book to put them on a map and never look back.
Yeah.
If that can happen for you, that's great. But, don't always put all your marbles on a one review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, I just want to say I've wanted to meet you for a very long time. You've inspired my journey, your pizza, your photography, everything. And I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today.
Thank you. We're super grateful for you to come out and allow us to share our story.
Thanks, dude. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much.